Today is December 8th. It is a beautiful Friday, and here in the Pacific Northwest, it is finally getting cold. I hear that some of my friends up in Canada have already gotten snow. We haven't seen, well, we have seen snow, but only up in the mountains. And I'm not quite, I'm higher elevation. I'm not in the valley floor, but we haven't seen snow where a lot of people are living yet. So that's but I'm okay. I like snow can come end of December, January, something like that. So I'm okay with not having snow yet. So let's see. My name is Miri Pizann. I am the founder and host of this beautiful group, the League of Gluten-Free Adventurers. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I have been gluten-free for a decade at this point, and I remember what it was like and how frustrating it felt and how left out I felt. And I don't want anyone else to have to feel that way. So I am here to support you, to remind you that there is a community full of people who are going through the same things. And there are people who are long timers who have been through this, and we're all here to lift each other up, right? I thoroughly believe that a rising tide raises all the boats. So here I am helping you out. So I wanted to share a couple of announcements. I'm super excited about both of these. Number one is that I have created an e-course for you. It's about gluten-free cocktails and going to cocktail hour. So what I found was that there is a ton of information out there, but it's all over the place and you have to go to all these different places. And so what I've done is I have curated all of that information from all over everywhere in order to give you one place to find everything you need to safely enjoy cocktails during this holiday season. I help you understand US labeling laws. What does it mean when it says gluten-free on the package? Because what that means on an alcoholic package is different than what it means on a food package. And so what the difference is, I help you understand which alcohols are naturally gluten-free and where you're good to go and what you should watch out for and where the pitfalls are. I also have some fun facts in there, like where the term proof comes from. So it's just one place where you can find everything all at once. You don't have to worry about it. It's all there presented and you're good to go. So as my nerdy self likes to say, one place to find them all, one place to bind them, one place to bring them all, and in the e-course bind them. Okay, that's enough of my silliness. So I've put the link down into the comments. It is for payhip.com/safely sated, and that is how you will find the e-course. Okay. So announcement number two is I started a podcast and there's only 2 episodes going at this point, but I think you in particular, if you are here in this community, if you have been joining me week after week, that you will enjoy uh, this podcast, specifically the first episode, where I talk about being gluten-free and how that really is a medical disability and why that changes how we should approach it. So the podcast is called Miri's Brain of String because it's like a big string and like I just follow all of these random directions. Like if you look at like how a ball of yarn, there's like it just kind of keeps going in all these weird ways. That's my brain. So welcome to my brain. It's called Miri's Brain of String. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pocket Cast, and iHeart at this time. And I will drop that link down in the comments also. All right, so those are my 2 big announcements. I'm so excited for both of them. And let's get into the weekly topic. So today I wanted to share with you about the best gluten-free thickeners and what they're best used for and what they're not maybe so good for. Okay. So one-to-one flour is fantastic for some recipes like muffins, quick breads, cookies. You can take your old recipe and for most of those, you just drop in one-to-one flour by weight not by scooping and patting down. You don't want to do that. You want to do it by weight. So if you don't have a kitchen scale, you really need to get one. It is it's first of all, it's an easier way to bake full stop, but secondly, it's going to give you much more accurate results, okay? So you can substitute 1 cup of flour, wheat flour, and instead use 1 cup of 1-to-1 flour in your muffins and quick breads and cookies and that kind of thing. And good for cakes too. You can also use it for yeasted breads if you know what you're doing. But now we're starting to play with the chemistry and understanding like how rice flour is different from wheat flour and why you need to change things. So you generally need to raise the amount of liquid that you're adding, and you probably need to add a little bit more binder also. So, but another reason to use flour is to thicken things like soups or sauces, pie filling. And so I wanted to share some general tips for thickening. So let's see, we've got arrowroot flour. And what you want to do with arrowroot is create a slurry using cold water. So you're going to kind of make a paste with a little bit of water and the powder, the flour. You make a paste and then you keep adding a little bit of water until it's kind of liquidy, but that way it helps you prevent lumps because you're doing it a little bit at a time and just loosening it up slowly. Okay, so for arrowroot flour, you want to create a slurry with cold water. And then once you have that slurry, you add it to the hot liquid. And arrowroot needs heat in order to thicken. Okay, so it has to be something that you are cooking anyway. And when you use arrowroot, you will find that it thickens clear and glossy. So it gives you like a nice clear, it's like wheat flour. When you thicken with that, it actually makes things cloudy. So it's not like, I don't think it's as good anyway for using for like a pie filling or anything like that. But so it's got a good neutral flavor and it's good for freezing. So if you're making something that you're going to be freezing, you don't want to use other ones. You want to use the arrowroot because that's where you're going to get the best thawing result. Now, I will warn you that it gets slimy when it's mixed with dairy. So you want to be careful about that, okay? Don't mix it with butter or anything that's got yogurt or milk or anything like that. Um, Arrowroot is great for fruit fillings in pies and cobblers and crumbles, and it's also really good for stir fry. Okay, so that's arrowroot. We also have cornstarch. And once again, you're going to create a slurry with cold water and then add it to the hot liquid. And cornstarch also needs heat to thicken. And it does have a mild corn flavor. It's very mild. So if that's something that your palate is going to notice, be aware of that. Once the liquid is thick and thick enough to where you want it, you need to stop heating the cornstarch, or else you need to stop heating it, or it will stop working and then it will kind of break down and get watery again. So cornstarch will give you a milkier finish, and it's like some people call it glossy, but like it's actually kind of satiny. It's not quite as shiny as arrowroot, but it's still like a satiny finish. Okay. Now, if you freeze stuff that's been thickened with cornstarch, when you thaw it back out, it gets kind of spongy and it's not as pleasant a consistency. So you do want to be careful about that. You don't want to use cornstarch with anything that you think you might be putting in the freezer. It's great for open top baked fruit. It's great for soups and sauces, stir fry, puddings, custards, all that kind of stuff. It's really quite versatile. The next one is tapioca. And tapioca flour can be used in low and no heat situations, right? So if you're not going to be heating whatever it is that you're making, tapioca is a fantastic option at that time. It has a neutral flavor again, and it does thicken clear and glossy, but it can get a little stringy sometimes. So, just something to be aware of. Don't put too much in. You want to, if you're adding it to see how much it thickens, you want to add it very carefully and see where you're at. And like once you've got enough, stop, right? This is great for fruit fillings, and it's also really good to do like a quick correction in sauces or soups. Like if it's a little too watery, just throw a little bit of tapioca in there, and that's going to help you like balance it back out to where it should be. Now, as for the amounts of all of these, I do go into detail of how much to use in my free guide to substitutions. And if you don't already have that, let me know, or I will drop it in the comments after I'm off the thing. And I see Andy is saying my week's been great. I'm so glad. What's the deal with arrowroot and dairy again? Okay, let me go back and look at my notes because like so arrowroot will get slimy if you mix it with dairy. So some people were talking like they said it was fine. Other people said like it is definitely noticeable. So it's going to depend on your palate and how you feel about it, but it's something to be aware of that. And this is going to be any kind of dairy, so butter or yogurt or milk, anything caramel. I don't know if caramel, well, I don't know that you would add it to caramel anyway. Don't mind me. But so that's arrowroot. I hope that helps, Andy. Let me know. So I do, yeah. So I go into the details. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. I do go into the details of how much, like, is it a 1-to-1 or how much do you use? If it calls for wheat flour in the recipe, what do you use instead? So that's in the free guide. And like I said, I will drop the link for you into the comments afterwards because I didn't think to, to bring it right now. So that is my talk on substitutions today. And I'm going to move into the Q&A section where Kathleen wrote, when I go to Italian restaurants, they put oil on the table and then don't have gluten-free bread. Oh, God, Kathleen, I feel that one. I know how painful that can be. So one thought that comes to mind is to ask to speak to a manager and then say that since you'd like something, say that since you're gluten-free, you'd like a different alternative to the bread and ask what he recommends. And here's the thing is like we have to remember like we're not on a diet. It's called the gluten-free diet, but we're not on a diet because when you're on a diet, it's like something that you do for a little while, you get your result, and then you go back to what you need to be doing. Like you stop. But we're not ever going to stop. We're always going to be on the gluten-free diet. So you need to think about playing the long game. And so even if they don't have anything for you that day, if you keep asking, then they're going to figure out, oh, people are asking for this. And any good manager is going to know that for every person who asks a question, 10 other people have that same question, right? So if you're asking this all the time, then they're going to start cluing in that they need to provide something, right? So ask, tell him you're gluten free, you can't eat the bread, and ask what recommendations he has instead. And they may not be able to offer you anything that first time, but if you ask every time, they're going to get the message and come up with something because they want you to be happy. They want everyone to be happy who comes to their restaurant. So be polite, be pleasant, and don't get your hopes up for that first time or even the third time. Sometimes it takes a little while for them to get it through their noggins, but play the long game and you're going to see changes as long as you just relax and let that go. So that is everything that I have for you today. I hope that you have a beautiful weekend. For all of my Jewish people who are out there, happy Hanukkah, and have yeah, just have a fabulous week, and I will be back here next week. I've really missed seeing you every week, so I'm going to be coming back to do this every week for a while. And take care and have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.